Hello, and welcome to LadyBird and Friends, a show that introduces you to the creators of children's books here on Author's Voice, a virtual book signing network. Today we will be talking about a very serious and heavy and somber topic. It's all about humor. Hi everybody, I'm Andrew Medler from Chicago Public Library, and I am your host today as we explore Funny Girl. Funniest stories ever. This is an awesome sauce hardcover new tween book that's published by Viking, an imprint of Penguin Random House. And it is edited by someone who I imagine most of you watching are starting to think right about now, where is she? Because it is indeed the author, editor, librarian, blogger, podcaster, tweeter, children's literature maven, and indeed LadyBird herself. Welcome, friends and book lovers, Betsy Bird. Betsy Bird, welcome to your own show.
Thank you. It's so lovely to be on my own show. And now I'm officially going to hire you to follow me around wherever I go and introduce me just like that to everyone I meet.
Well, I will say that I do feel a little bit like Gail interviewing Oprah on Oprah. If you'll pardon the dated reference
Oprah,
there.
But thank you.
But, well, and so then the first question really is, what does it feel like to have the interview table here turned
I know, everything's
on you?
topsy-turvy, black as white, night as day. I don't know what's going on. Am I right? Am I left? I don't know. So it's cool. It's really cool because the pressure is completely off. I could be the crazy guest that just throws you off at this point. I could say anything. Yeah.
Well, good luck to both of us. And actually, I have to say, Betsy, that you don't need luck because this book, this is Funny Girl. This really is.
Oh my gosh, no one's ever done that before.
This is, it really is an amazing collection of dozens of original stories and comics by dozens of amazingly brilliant and diverse book creators.
Thank you.
And it is one that will make you laugh and chuckle and guffaw and spit so much milk out of your nose as you're reading it that you will want to order, well, I was going to say copy, but really you will want to order copies of Funny Girl. And not just any copies, but copies that have been touched and signed and breathed on by the editor herself.
My own breath.
Indeed, and you can get that, which is lovely, by the way. Here, thank you for the mints before the show. You can do that by clicking on the button that you see on your viewer. And for those of you who are watching us on YouTube, you can click on the link there as well to get your very own signed copies of
Plural.
Funny Girl, indeed. Now, even though Betsy and I are sitting here in the absolutely amazing Abraham Lincoln Bookshop on West Superior Street in Chicago, and you're not, you can still be part of our conversation and engage with us by sending in your questions for LadyBird over the next period of our show. And that's easy to do also just by clicking on what you see on your screen. Let us know your name and what your question is for LadyBird. I can't wait to see what questions you get.
We will see. We will see if I get any questions. I don't know. It could be I've answered all questions already and there is nothing left to ask.
Well, actually, I do have something to ask.
Oh, maybe you can ask something. Oh, that'd be good.
But I think before I get into asking those questions, we should start by really understanding what is humor? What makes things
Let's
funny?
dissect it. That's the best way to figure out what it is.
And I think when you get in there, you find that really humor is when something is absurdly incongruous.
Yes, absolutely.
Kind of like talking very somberly and seriously while wearing a fun and fabulous and festive mask.
Ah, nice tie-in.
But even though, there may be that definition, not everybody finds the same things funny.
This is so true, and this was part of the problem. Well, not even the problem, but this is the challenge, I'll say, of the book.
How did you meet that challenge?
Well, there you go. So, I once asked John Shesko, name drop. I'm sorry, I'm going to pick that up here. Yeah, it's
so bad over there.
I'm sorry, but I once asked him, why do funny books win awards less than not funny books? And he pointed out, dog is dead. I feel sad, you feel sad, we feel sad. That dog is dead. this book makes me laugh. This book doesn't make me laugh. You find that funny? Humor is so different for so many different people. So
Does that mean that some people didn't find the bit with the mask funny?
No, darling.
Oh,
Everybody
okay.
found
Okay,
that funny.
okay,
Everybody
good.
found
Just
that funny.
checking.
Yes, but so the problem with the book was, I'm not going to please every human being who reads every single story. So we wanted a range of humor, and by we I mean I had 2 different editors, even above me, who helped me work on the book. The fantastic Sharon November and the also completely fantastic Layla Sales. And they both brought their own humor. I brought my humor, but then all the contributors brought their humor. And so we have a range of different kinds of sense of humor. What you find funny in one story, you may not find in another story, but you're going to find something that makes you laugh in at least one story in here.
Well, and speaking of the contributors, there is one thing that all the contributors to this book have in common, and that is that they're in this book.
Good.
And there's something that all of the contributors, except for one, have in common.
I was going to say, yeah.
And would you maybe tell us about that and why that may be the case?
So everybody in this book, with the exception of one, is female, as we say. Yes, so I wanted a compilation of the funniest women writing for kids today, as well as just some funny women from other areas. Like I wanted a YouTube star, and I wanted like a writer from The Daily Show, and I wanted a bunch of people to just sort of tie them all together, put them in one big place. It'd be great. But we do have one little brother, and I know. But here's the payoff: you don't get your baby mouse without your Matthew home.
Fair enough.
And he's such a nice guy. He got in under there. Nobody's going to mind. I have
What a
gotten
sport.
no angry letters being like, how dare you let Matthew Home be a part of this book? I'm returning it.
If you have one, you can send it in via the link on your screen.
There you go. So yes, we do have one male of the species, but other than that, yeah, they're all the ladies.
Excellent. Well, and he may have had an experience that I had reading this, which was that I learned much more about bras and periods than I had ever realized.
Wasn't that interesting?
It really was fascinating.
I think you learn less about the bra and more about the periods. But yes, Libba Bray has a fantastic story about it's sort of a how-to on getting one's period. I might have learned a little something myself. I'm just saying. It's very informative.
Well, and I think that is also a big part of humor when something is very relatable.
Yeah.
And it's something that many of us have in common. And in this case, many of the experiences that readers will have in common are for those who are the female of the species. And most particularly the middle school aged.
Yes. And I should
Of the
say,
species.
this book is called Funny Girl. It is of a somewhat pinkish, I'll say coral. It's more of a coral color. There's a large picture of a girl either lying on her back or hanging by her knees. We have great debates about this. And yet, I would say that boys would get a kick out of this as well. Boys would get a huge kick out of this. And yes, there are stories about bras, and there are stories about periods. But there's also stories about bathtubs exploding on fire. So there's something for everybody in this.
Yeah, that's true. Because really, I mean, putting a staple in your thumb,
That
is something that is not limited to one single demographic.
And if I can break down any stereotype, I want to break down the stereotype that girls can't be gross and don't like gross out humor. Oh my gosh, girls love gross out humor. I gotta tell you, what do girls love? They love stuff like this. They love the Donner Party. They love Titanic. They love all sorts of gross stuff. So let's just beat those stereotypes to death.
Excellent. Yeah. And laugh hysterically while we're doing it.
Couldn't hurt.
Indeed.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Well, we have a question.
Reader mail.
And here it is from Dawn in Portland. So, LadyBird, what do you think is the deal with this whole girls aren't funny nonsense that you see now and then? What do you think that kind of attitude does for girls who are funny?
Oh, what a good question. I'd swear that was a plant if I hadn't actually done it myself. So, yeah, we hear this periodically, usually from a large male celebrity. Jerry Lewis notably said that women weren't funny. Adam Carolla once said that if you had a writer's table, the token woman would be the least funny person on that. And yeah, there is this sort of understanding that there's like, well, girls have girl humor. You know, there's a kind of humor, but it's a girl humor. And then boys have humor, which is to say just all kinds of humor. And I do feel that if girls are not encouraged to find the funny side of Well, this is a pre-adolescent book, just on the edge of the cusp of adolescence. It is a good time to learn that humor is a good way of overcoming horrible, horrible, horrible things in your life. It is a way of a way of being strong, of gathering strength, I would say. And that's why we actually sort of bookend the book with How to Be Funny by 2 stand-up comedians at the front, or comedy writers, and then 1 stand-up comedian at the exact end. And they sort of, give a little advice just on, bad things happen. Not every bad thing is funny, but if you can use a sense of humor, it is sort of your superpower. It is a way of dealing with the stuff in your life that is not so great.
Well, then you must be the most powerful person in the world.
Is that because I have such a crappy life?
You're
right.
Because of the humor that you
have
in this
right.
book.
Yes, no, that's why. Yes.
And it's really been getting rave reviews.
Yes.
This book has at least 2-star reviews.
Yes.
And with your brilliance of bringing these stories together, bringing them all together, how did you, and you talked about the book ending, how did you decide what order to put these pieces into? Did you just throw them all in a big bowl and pull one out?
No, that is such a good question. No one ever asked me that question. Oh, yes. No, that was actually the most enjoyable part. It was basically like, remember in the old days when you used to make like a mixtape and you're like, okay, I put that song, but then I'd have to put this song, like slow it down a little bit. Now I'm going to put a rock and roll song and then the R&B. So that was what this was. This was my mixtape. Well, I had all my things, and I just looked at them all, and I was like, okay, we can't put all the art at the beginning. We can't have like comic, no art. And then we can't have like an art desert. And then we can't have, fortunately the how to write a joke, we just somehow managed to get 2 of that. So I was like, good, bookend. I totally did that on purpose. And then, sprinkle out the things. But then there's also kind of like visual things, like there's a quiz, and there's a Mad Lib, and there's, sort of things where like visually the words are interesting. So I was able to basically sort of do stories without any art, and sort of interstitial, do the ones with the art, and do the ones that are all art, and then do like stories that have no art. And it worked out really well. Kind of give like a rise and fall to the action. There was 2 about horrible things that happen at pools. Couldn't have them anywhere near each other, so I put one over here and I put the other one over here, and that worked out fine. So yes, but that was so much fun for me because that's the kind of brain I have where I'm like, I get to organize something. Yay! So yeah.
Make your fellow librarians very proud.
Exactly. Don't you wish you could organize something like this? Yeah.
So, and you talked about wanting different types of book creators to have that variety and make that mixtape here. So did you then just pick up the phone and call them and say, hey, CeCe Bell, be in my book?
Essentially, though in CeCe Bell's case, it was my editor, Sharon November, who I think saw her across the room at something and then like ran towards her and was like, CeCe, you need to be in this book. And CeCe, who was super nice, was like, okay.
Although we don't advocate attacking authors like that, but I'm glad it worked out in this case.
No, yeah, in this particular case, it seemed to work out okay. So yeah, no, I basically made my dream list of like, here's all the people I want. It was like the crazy dream list. Like, I'm gonna ask J.K. Rowling. Like, I knew I wasn't gonna get J.K. Rowling, but I'm just gonna ask instead. So I put everybody I want on there, and some of them I got my big names. I got my Raina Telgemeier. I did not believe I got my Raina Telgemeier. I got Raina Telgemeier, and I got Shannon Hale and all these like lovely like big names. And then I got the people who are really funny, but they don't get as much attention. So I got some of those, and then I didn't get some. There were some people that I asked, and they were too busy. I never got a no, I'm not interested in the product or the project. I always got I'm busy, and which was totally legit because these people were super busy. Like for example, I really wanted Louise Erdrich. And she had 2 books come out last year, a children's book and an adult book. So I was like, probably not going to get her, but I really want her. And that wasn't going to happen. So, so I had people like that. And then I had people that I did get, and then they wrote something, and I had to be forced to be like, so it's not funny. Can you rewrite it? Because I paid these people like once they submitted it, then I paid them. So basically, I was coming to them saying like, hey, want to write me something on spec? And then we'll pay you a flat fee. And that is not an enticement for any major writer or any writer at all. And yet these people were all willing to do it, including the poor ones where I was like, so that wasn't funny either. Bye. So I felt really bad about that, which is why I'm not a professional editor.
Well, thank you for sparing me asking you the question if anything wasn't funny.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm glad we covered that.
Yeah, no. I told them right up front. I was like, nothing meaningful. Nothing. I don't want a meaningful. And there was one author I really wanted, and she came back. She said, I'm busy. Can I write something? And I was like, sure. Like, just really fast. She was like, she sends me something, and it was about a girl whose sister is dying of cancer. And I was like, what part of not meaningful? And it was not funny. It was not even like situationally funny. I was like, do you know what the book's about? And so, yeah, oddly didn't make the cut. Yeah.
Go figure.
I know. It's kind of a bummer. What you gonna do?
One thing that did make the cut in this book is a lovely photograph of yourself from your early funny superpower eras.
Yeah.
And
The
perhaps
reason
you'll be
for
willing
this
to
book.
show it to
I'll show it.
Unbidden.
I don't know how well. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't think there's any way to zoom. Oh, what a pity. There's no. Oh, there is a way to zoom. Doggone it. Oh, yeah. You know what? No, out of focus is better, guys. Yeah, that was a little 7th grade Betsy when she was doing her own hair. Can you tell? And look at that. Why aren't granny glasses coming back? You say to yourself, when they were just so attractive at the time. You could wear them and look just like your own grandmother. It was amazing. And you can't really see it, but that turtleneck, which is no, it's a mock turtleneck, is even better. Even cooler than a turtleneck. That mock turtleneck is the same color of the shirt I'm wearing right now. It is red. So yeah, that's this is why I wrote the book, as far as I can tell, was to make it up to that girl right there in the book.
Well, she should be very proud.
Well, hopefully, we'll see.
Now, what did that girl like to read? Did she like to read
She liked to
funny
read
things?
Doonesbury. That's what that girl liked to read, the hippest thing out there. Well, that girl
Do we
liked
need to explain that to some of our audience what
Children,
Doonesbury is?
once there was a thing called Doonesbury. No, what I liked to read was newspaper comics, the comic books you'd get at the 7-Eleven. So you got your Uncle Scrooge, your Carl Barks. I had my classics. And then I liked humor in terms of like Monty Python and things like that. Of course, in terms of comics, if you wanted women who were writing, you had, for better or for worse, and Kathy, and maybe Sylvia, because I never got a single joke in Sylvia, but I knew it was supposed to be funny if you were over a certain age. And that's it. So you didn't really have much of the way women to look to. So yeah, I didn't have many influences necessarily that were women, but I did like to read the funny stuff. Though not, there were so few funny books for kids at that time. I mean, do you remember reading funny books at that time?
I read Family Circus comic books.
Yes.
And
Or Garfield.
Absolutely Garfield. And then when I was in marching band, I read Funky Winker Bean.
Oh, yes. Funky Winker Bean, very interesting, that one, because it could get very dark, the Funky Winker Bean, even though it has a name, Funky Winker Bean. Very dark. But yeah, no, and then in terms of like actually literature and books, apparently Barbara Park was doing things like Skinny Bones at the time, but I never saw any of that. So yeah, humor in books, not so much. Mostly I read my Apple paperbacks from Scholastic Book Fair about ghosts, and that was fine.
And speaking of ghosts, have you heard from Andrew Seidel lately?
Oh my gosh. Andrew Seidel.
Oh,
thank you. I'm sorry.
With apologies.
Yes,
Seidel.
my 7th grade crush. I have not, and I actually forgot I included him in that piece until I was somewhere else and someone asked about him. I was like, how did you know about that? And they were like, it's in your book. I was like, is it? Get out of town. Did I really? Oh, that made the cut, did it? Oh, yes. So my 7th grade crush made the cut. I have not heard a word from him, but I did do an appearance in my hometown, so surely word will come to him at some point.
Excellent. And Andrew, if you're out there watching and listening, please feel free to click on the buttons or the YouTube link that you see on your screen here to get in touch with this funny girl. Mm-hmm. The book is actually dedicated to the original funny girl.
That's true.
Have you heard from Barbra Streisand?
Oh, nice. It should be dedicated to her, quite frankly. Though also Nick Hornsby wrote a book called Funny Girl not that long before this one too, so you can't copyright a name. Yes. No, this one is actually dedicated to my daughter Lillian, who is 6 and insists that I put a joke in her lunchbox every time I make her lunch. So I think that's a good step. go on the right path. Though I got to tell you, coming up with an original joke for a 6-year-old every single day, that's not an easy task.
So in a second, I'm going to ask you what today's joke was.
Oh.
So I'll give you a minute there to think about it and see if you can remember.
She didn't have a packed lunch today because it was a beach day, but I could tell you my favorite joke. It's very fast.
What is your favorite joke?
It's a knock-knock joke. You want to hear it?
Do we want to hear it? We want to hear it.
Okay. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Interrupting starfish.
Interrupting starfish. Ladies and gentlemen, LadyBird, right here.
My favorite joke. I'm a 4-year-old. I love it.
I love
you
it.
get to put someone's face on someone's hand. Oh.
Well, and 4-year-olds they get humor in such a different way even too. Yeah.
Well, yes, my 3-year-old son has learned that if he tells something and the grown-ups laugh, you must tell it 100 times because it will get the same reaction over and over. That definition of insanity that says if you try things and you think you'll get a different result, he knows he's not going to get a different result. Therefore, if he does the same thing over and over, he's going to get a laugh every single time. So I'm like, it's so adorable. You have to laugh.
It's almost as adorable as the running gag throughout the book of an advice column that is penned by 2 very funny characters.
Yes.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about that and
So
what they get up to?
This is a pet advice column. It's done by Deborah Underwood, and it's lovely because she's actually never really written anything for middle grade readers. She has done the cat books, which my children adore. And so we didn't know if she'd be up for this. And it started out as just one piece. And then it was actually my editor, Sharon November, who had the idea of being like, hey, can you do a couple more? Can we just interstitially put them throughout the book? And she could, and she did, and it's lovely.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And it will make you laugh absolutely nonstop. So check it out. Speaking of advice columns, remember, we're still looking for advice and questions from all of you, so please feel free to send those in to us using the links on your screen. Now, another question that I have is something that's really been gnawing at me since I read this the first time.
Oh, we can't have
and
gnawing.
I will say the first time because this is a book that you read over and over again.
You are so
and you
nice.
can read it right through, which I did. And you can also keep it in your backpack and pull it out when maybe, say, there's a slowdown on the L and you need to brighten your spirits a little bit for a couple minutes, and you can pull it out and read some pages, and your day just becomes ultimately better.
So nice to hear.
But I'm wondering if the day has ever gotten better for Desdemona and Sparks.
Oh!
And if they ever, did they get into prep or not?
We
A
have to
world
assume.
wants to know.
We have to assume, yes, no. So Desdemona and Sparks, I believe that's the Rita Williams Garcia, which she
Indeed.
did with her daughter. So
That's
there
cool.
are a couple like mother-daughter pairings in here, which I thought was so neat.
Yeah.
That was sort of like her instinct was like, well, because Rita Williams Garcia, I think she just writes the most hilarious middle grade fiction. Like the Gaither sister books are hilarious, but she is of course one of those writers who like basically I'm pointing a virtual gun at these people and being like, be funny now. On cue, on command, funny. And this is hard for people. Some people who are very funny can't do it when you say like, do funny now. So she actually felt like she had to do it with her daughter. But so she did the Desdemona and Sparks, and it's lovely. I think in this it's Ellen that she's trying to get onto, but originally it was something else. I think it was maybe Oprah. It was something that no longer exists necessarily. Or was it? Oh no, it was David Letterman, I think. In any case, it was David Letterman, and sort of morphed as there is no more Letterman. Though I would have accepted Colbert. I would have been okay with that.
Yeah,
So,
fair enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough. Yeah, exactly. Well, and that is such another great thing about this book, that it will draw you into the other great creative genius outlets of the creators in this
That's
book.
the hope. The hope is that a kid goes through there and sees their little names on the cover, and it's like, well, I like that story by Amy Ignatow. What else has this woman written? Oh, many books, all of which are very funny. So, yeah.
And speaking of writing other things, what are you working on this
My
days?
goodness. I always pull that one on authors, and I never think I'm going to get it myself. I have sold a picture book to Scholastic, which will be coming out in 2019. So
Be here before you know it.
Exactly. Yeah, I guess that's true. That's true. It was wilder when it was sold in 2016. But yes, that'll be coming out in 2019. And then besides that, I'm working on a middle grade novel. which is sort of a national treasure set in New York City around children's literature objects.
Excellent. Oh, I look forward to that.
That should be fun.
All right. Well, we have a few more minutes. If you have any questions that you would like to send in, please do so right now. And although perhaps you're too busy ordering copies of
That's true.
Funny Girl,
Can't
funniest
have fingers doing
stories
different things.
ever, edited by LadyBird herself, Betsy Bird. So I think really we can start thinking about how we will all use our superheroes that we have, our superpowers that we've been inspired to have by the humor in this book, and take them forward and to keep on reading and keep on laughing.
Thank you. Well, I hope so.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you, Betsy.
No problem. Thanks for coming and talking with me, man.
You bet.
This was great.
Anytime.
Yeah.
It was a blast.